Hare Krishna, Prabhu Standa Pram, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Who would like to chant the Mangalacharan prayer?
I can chant, Prabhu.
Oh, yes, Prabhu. Once again. Okay, now you can start. Haribol.
Okay, Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Prabhakamahyam Tadati Sravadhantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakavalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri-rupam sankritātam sarvana-guṇātānvitam tam sajivam sādvaitam sāvadūtam parijana-sahitam Krishna-sahitam chaitanya-devam Shri-radha-krishna-pādāt sahaganalita Shri-vishakānvitāmscha Hare Krishna Karuna-sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika-kanta Radha-kanta Namostate Sapta-kāñcana-gauta Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhānusuti Devi Pranamami Haripriye Panchakal-patrubhyashta कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे
Namam Vishnupadaya.
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय पुत्रे श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेषशून्यवादी पार्श्वतारिणे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां शकदा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना हृदयन्तोऽस्ति यन्त्राणि वितनोति स्वश्रुतां हस्तप्रायश्वपत्रेषु नित्यभागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भक्तिनैष्टिकी. Before receiving the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana and to Narayana Rishi, the supreme human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vasudeva, the author. Krishna, the personality of God, who is the Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, brings aside for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in the classes on the Bhagavatam and by entering of service to the pure devotee, all the disturbance into the heart and form is completely destroyed, and our loving service into the personality of the positive springs with transcendental songs establishes an irrevocable factor.
Haribol. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu. You want to start reading? Or Rishikesh, Prabhu? Okay, Haribol. I can read the first one also. Text number 34 to 36. Kriyaya kratubirdanaistapasvadhyaya marshanai atmendriya jayenapi sanyasena cha karmanam yogena vividangena bhakti yogena chaivahi dharmeno bayachinena yah pravarti nivrittiman atmatattva vabodena vairagyena dridena cha iyate bhagavan nebi saguno nirguna svadrik. Word to word. Kriyaya, by fruitive activities. Kratubi, by sacrificial performances. Danai, by charity. Tapaha, austerities. Svadhyaya, study of Vedic literature. Marshanai, and by philosophical research. Atma Indriya Jayena, by controlling the mind and senses. Api, also. Sanyasena, by renunciation. Cha, and. Karmanam, of fruitive activities. Yogena, by yoga practice. Vividangena, of different divisions. Bhakti yogena, by devotional service. Cha, and. Eva, certainly. He, indeed. Dharmena, by prescribed duties. Ubhaya having both symptoms, yaha, which pravritti, attachment, nivrittiman, containing detachment, atma tattva, the science of self-realization, avabodhena, by understanding, vairagyena, by detachment, tridena, strong, cha, and yate is perceived, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, ebi, by these, saguna, in the material world, nirguna, beyond the material modes, Svadrik, one who sees his constitutional position. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. By performing fruitive activities and sacrifices, by distributing charity, by performing austerities, by studying various literatures, by conducting philosophical research, by controlling the mind, by subduing the senses, by accepting the renounced order of life, and by performing the prescribed duties of one social order, by, by performing the different divisions of yoga practice, by performing devotional service, and by exhibiting the process of devotional service containing the symptoms of both attachment and detachment, by understanding the science of self-realization, and by developing a strong sense of detachment, one who is expert in understanding the different processes of self-realization realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is represented in the material world as well as in transcendence. It's a long list. Purport. As stated, as it is stated in the previous verse, one has to follow the principles of the scriptures. There are different prescribed duties for persons in the different social and spiritual orders. Here it is stated that the performance of fruitive activities and sacrifices and distribution of charity and activities meant for persons who are in the household order of society are activities meant for persons who are in the household order of society. There are four orders of the social system: Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. For the grihasthas or householders, performance of sacrifice, distribution of charity, and action according to prescribed duties are especially recommended. Similarly, austerity, study of Vedic literature, and philosophical research are meant for the vanaprasthas, or retired persons. Study of the Vedic literature from the bona fide spiritual master is meant for the brahmacharya student. Atmendriyajaya, controlling of the mind and taming of the senses, is meant for persons in the renounced order of life. All these different activities are prescribed for different persons so that they may be elevated to the platform of self-realization and from there to Krishna consciousness, devotional service. The words Bhakti Yogena Chaivahi mean that whatever is to be performed as described in verse 34, whether yoga or sacrifice or fruitive activity or study of Vedic literature or philosophical research or acceptance of the renounced order of life, is to be executed in Bhakti Yoga. The word Shaivahi, according to Sanskrit grammar, indicate that one must perform all these activities mixed with devotional service. Otherwise, such activities will not produce any fruit. Any prescribed activity must be performed for the sake of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Yat karoshi yat ashnasi, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you sacrifice, whatever austerities you undergo, and whatever charities you give, the result should be given to the Supreme Lord. The word Eva is added in dictating that one must execute activities in such a way. Unless one has devotional service to all activities, he cannot achieve the desired result. But when Bhakti Yoga is prominent in every activity, then the ultimate goal is sure. One has to approach the Supreme Person of Godhead, Krishna, as it is stated in Bhagavad Gita. After many, many births, one approaches the Supreme Person, Krishna, and surrenders unto him, knowing that he is everything. Also in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Bhuktaram Jagnatapasam, for anyone who is undergoing rigid austerity, or for anyone who is performing different kinds of sacrifices. The beneficiary is the Supreme Person of Godhead. He is the proprietor of all planets, and he is the friend of all living souls. The words dharmenobhayachinena mean that Bhakti Yoga process contains two symptoms, namely attachment to the Supreme Lord and detachment from material activities. Material affinities. There are two symptoms of advancement in the process of devotional service, just as there are two processes taking place while eating. A hungry man feels strength and satisfaction from eating. At the same time, he gradually becomes detached from eating anymore. Similarly, with the execution of devotional service, real knowledge develops and one becomes detached from all material activities. In no other activity but devotional service is there such detachment from matter and attachment for the Supreme. There are 9 different processes to increase this attachment to the Supreme Lord: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, serving the Lord, making friendship, praying, offering everything, and serving the lotus feet of the Lord. The process for increasing detachment from material affinities are explained in verse 36. One can achieve elevation to the higher planetary systems like the heavenly kingdom by executing one's prescribed duties and by performing sacrifices. When he is transcendental to such desires because of accepting the renounced order of life, he can understand the Brahman feature of the Supreme, and when one is able to see his real constitutional position, he sees all other processes and becomes situated in the stage of pure devotional service. At that time, he can understand the Supreme Person of Godhead, Bhagavan. Understanding of the Supreme Person is called Atma Tattva Avabodhena, which means understanding of one's real constitutional position. If one actually understands one's constitutional position as an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, he becomes detached from the service of the material world. Everyone engages in some sort of service. If one does not know one's constitutional position, one engages in the service of his personal gross body, or his family, society, or country. But as soon as one is able to see his constitutional position, he serves as but as soon as one is able to see his constitutional position, the word svadrik means one who is able to see. He becomes detached from such material services and engages himself in devotional service. As long as one is in the modes of material nature and is performing the duties prescribed in the scriptures, he can be elevated to higher planetary systems where the predominating deities are material representations of the Supreme Person of Godhead, like the Sun God, the Moon God, the Air God, Brahma, and Lord Shiva. All the different demigods are material representations of the Supreme Lord. By material activities, one can only approach such demigods, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yanti Deva Vrata Devan 9:25. Those who are attached to the demigods and who perform the prescribed duties can approach the abodes of the demigods. In this way, one can go to the planet of the Pitas or forefathers. Similarly, one who fully understands the real position of his life adopts devotional service and realizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Haribol. Anyone would like to read the next verse? Hare Krishna, Vivek Prabhu, Tandar Pram, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for joining, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please come on, always now, verses Prabhu.
Can you read,
Okay.
Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, I can.
Thank you, Prabhu.
प्रवोच्चं भक्तियोगस्य स्वरूपं ते चतुर्विधं कलस्य च व्यक्तगतिर्योऽन्तर्द्वाति जन्तुषु Provo- Paro- Pravocham explained Bhakti Yogasya of devotion service. Swarupam, the identity. Te, to you. Chatuvidham, in four divisions. Kalasya of time. Cha, also Avyakta Gati, the moment of which is imperceptible. Yah, which Antra Dhavanti, Chetas, Jantusu, Jantusu, the living entities. Translation. My dear mother, I have explained to you the process of devotion service and its identity in four different social divisions. I have explained to you as well how eternal time is chasing the living entities, although it is imperceptible to them. Purport. The purpose of Bhakti Yoga devotion service is the main river flowing down towards the sea of the Absolute Truth, and all other processes mentioned are just like tributaries. Lord Kapila is summarizing the importance of the process of devotional service. Bhakti Yoga, as described before, is divided into four divisions. The there is, sorry, four divisions, three in the material modes of nature and one in transcendence, which is untinged by the modes of material nature. Devotional service, mixed with the modes of material nature, is a means for material existence, whereas devotional service without desire for future result and without attempts for philosophical research is pure transcendental devotional service. Philosophical research. Text 39. जीवस्य जीवस्य संस्त्रिभविर् अविद्या कर्म निर्मिता यस्वङ्ग प्रविशन् आत्मा गतिम् आत्मनः जीवस्य of the living entity. Some samskriti courses of material existence, bhave, many, avidya, in ignorance, karma, by work, nirmiti, nirmitha, produced, yasu, into which Angha, my dear mother, pravishan, entering, Atma, the living entity, na, not, Veda, understands, Gatim, the moment, Atmana, of himself. Translation. There are varieties of material existence from the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity. My dear mother, if anyone enters into that forgetfulness, he is unable to understand where his moments will end. Purport. Very nice purport, bro. Purport. Once one enters into the continuation of material existence, it is very difficult to get out. Therefore, the Supreme Person of God comes himself or sends his bona fide speech, bona fide representatives, and he leaves behind scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, so that the living entities hovering in the darkness of nescience may take advantage of the instructions the saintly persons and the spiritual masters and thus be freed. Unless the living entities receive the mercy of the saintly persons, the spiritual master or Krishna, it is not possible for him to get out of the darkness of material existence. By his own endeavor, it is not possible. Text 39. Sorry, last one, 30, 39. Naitat kalaya op nait- naitat kalayo padisen navin nitya kar karchiti karchit na stabdhya na binnaya नैव धर्मध्वजया च ध्वजया ध्वजया च नहीं आने ये कीड़ी कड़ी चलते हैं not etat this instruction kalaya to the envious upadeshit one should teach na not avinitya to the agnostic karchit ever na not stab stabdya stabdya to the proud na not binnaya to the misbehaved na not eva certainly dharma dvajaya to the hypocrite, Hippocrates Cha also. Translation Lord Kapila continued, this instruction is not meant for the envious, for the agnostics, or for people, for the agnostics or for persons who are unclean in their behavior, nor is it for hypocritics or for persons who are proud of material possessions. Text 40. Na lolu nano sorry. Na lolupyopadishen na grahu न ग्रहरुद्धचेतसे न भक्त्या च मे जातु न मद्भक्ता द्विषम् अपि not lolupya to the greedy upadishit one should instruct not graha arudha chetase to one who is too attached to family life not abhaktya to the non-devotee cha and me of Jatu ever and Na not Mat my Bhakta devotees wisdom to those who are envious of Api also. Translation It is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too attached to family life, nor to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious of the devotees and of the personality of Godhead. Purport Persons who are always planning to do harm to other living entities are not eligible to understand Krishna consciousness and cannot enter into the realm of temporary loving service to the Lord. Also, there are so-called disciples who become submissive submissive to a spiritual master most artificially with an uh, ulterior motive. They also cannot understand what Krishna consciousness or devotion service is. Person who, due to being initiated by another sect of religious faith, do not find devotion service as the common a platform for approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Also, they cannot understand Krishna consciousness. We have experienced that some students come to join us, but because of being based in some particular type of faith, they leave our camp and become lost in the wilderness. wilderness. Actually, Krishna consciousness is not a sectarian religious faith. It is a teaching process for understanding the Supreme Lord and our relationship with Him. Anyone can join this movement without prejudice, 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 prejudice. Uh, but unfortunately, there are persons who feel differently. It is better, therefore, not to instruct the signs of Krishna consciousness onto such persons. Generally, materialistic persons are after some name, fame, and material gain. So, if someone takes to Krishna consciousness for these reasons, he will never be able to understand this philosophy. Such persons take to religious principles as a social decoration. They admit themselves into some cultural institution for the sake of name only. Especially in this age, such persons also cannot understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Even if one is not greedy for material possessions but is too attached to family life, he also cannot understand Krishna consciousness. Superficially, Such persons are not very greedy for material possessions, but they are too attached to wife, children, and family improvement. When a person is not contaminated by the above mentioned faults, yet at the ultimate issue is not interested in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or if he is a non-devotee, he also cannot understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Prabhu. Who wants to continue?
Haribol, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Siddharth Prabhu and Praveen Prabhu, Dandar Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanam Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna, Prabhu, stand up, Prabhupada.
Nice to see you, Prabhu. Sridhar Krishna Prabhu. After a
Yes,
long time.
Prabhu. Nice to hear your voice also, Prabhu. Missing in Easter sessions.
Yeah, I'll join back. See, I was not well last week and the previous one. So it's my turn. I will continue reading some more verses.
Haribol, yes, Prabhu, we
So
need to
yeah,
finish at least the chapter. Oh, I
yes,
lost
yes.
everywhere. I lost it.
I think
40th,
41,
I think.
Prabhu.
40 or 41, yeah.
41. Yes, Prabhu.
41.
Shraddhadhana, yeah, something. 41, see? Yeah. Text 41. Shraddhadhanaya bhaktaya vinitayana suyave bhuteshu krita maitraya susrushabhi rataya cha. Synonyms: Shraddhadhanaya, faithful; bhaktaya, to the devotee; vinitaya, respectful; anasuyave, non-envious; bhuteshu, to all living entities; krita maitraya, friendly; Susrusha, faithful service; Abhirataya, eager to render; Cha, and. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. Text 42. बहिर्जात विरागाय शंत चित्ताय धीयताम निर्मत्सराय शुचये यस्याहं प्रियसाम प्रियः. Synonyms: Bahihi, for what is outside; Jata, viragaya, to him who has developed detachment; Shanta Chittaya, whose mind is peaceful; Dhiyatam, let this be instructed; Nirmatsaraya, non-envious; Suchaye, perfectly cleansed; Yasya, of whom; Aham, I; Preyasham, of all that is very dear; Priyaha, the most dear. Translation: This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who are who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious or any of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside of the purview of Krishna consciousness. Purport: In the beginning, no one can be elevated to the highest stage of devotional service. Here, bhakta means one who does not hesitate to accept the reformatory processes for becoming a bhakta. In order to become a devotee of the Lord, one has to accept a spiritual master and inquire from him about how to progress in devotional service. To serve a devotee, to chant the holy name according to a certain counting method, to worship the deity, to hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam or Bhagavad Gita from a realized person, and to live in a sacred place where devotional service is not disturbed, are the first out of 64 devotional activities for making progress in devotional service. One who has accepted these five chief activities is called a devotee. One must be prepared to offer the necessary respect and honor to the spiritual master. He should not be unnecessarily envious of his God brothers. Rather, if a God brother is more enlightened and advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should accept him as almost equal to the spiritual master, and one should be happy to see such God brothers advance in Krishna consciousness. A devotee should always be very kind to the general public in instructing Krishna consciousness, because that is the only solution for getting out of the clutches of Maya. That is really humanitarian work, for it is the way to show mercy to other people who need it very badly. The word Susrushabhi Tataya indicates a person who faithfully engages in serving the spiritual master. One should give personal service and all kinds of comforts to the spiritual master. A devotee who does so is also a bona fide candidate for taking this instruction. The word Bahirjata Viragaya means a person who has developed detachment from external and internal material propensities. Not only is he detached from activities which are not connected to Krishna consciousness, but he should be internally averse to the material way of life. Such a person must be non-envious and should think of welfare of all living entities, not only of the human beings, but living entities other than human beings. The word Sochaye means one who is cleansed both externally and internally. To become actually cleansed externally and internally, one should chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna or Vishnu, constantly. The word Dhiyatam means that knowledge of Krishna consciousness should be offered by the spiritual master. The spiritual master must not accept a disciple who is not qualified. He should not be professional and should not accept disciples for monetary gains. The bona fide spiritual master must see the bona fide qualities of a person whom he is going to initiate. An unworthy person should not be initiated. The spiritual master should train his disciple in such a way so that in the future, only the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be the dearmost goal of his life. In these two verses, the qualities of a devotee are fully explained. One who has actually developed all the qualities listed in these verses is already elevated to the post of a devotee. If one has not developed all these qualities, he still has to fulfill these conditions in order to become a perfect devotee. Text 43.
Edible. Yes, Prabhu, this previous purport was very nice.
Yes. Text 43. Eidam शृणुयाद् अम्बा श्रद्धया पुरुषः सकृत् यो वाभिदधत्ते मच्चित्तः सह्येति पदवीं च मे synonyms. Yaha, he who, idam, this, shrunuyat, may hear, amba, O mother, shraddhaya, with faith, purusha, a person, sakrit, once, yaha, he who, va, or, abhidhatte, repeats, matchitta, chitta, matchitta, his mind fixed on me, saha, he certainly, yeti, attains, Padavim, abode, cha, and me, my. Translation. Anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 32nd chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities.
Edible.
Next comes the
Okay.
33rd chapter.
Yes, Prabhu. How many chapters the book has?
Last one. This is the last one, I think.
The
Oh,
last one, Prabhu.
Yeah.
oh, so quickly.
Chapter 33. Activities of Kapila. Text 1. Maitreya Uvacha Evam Nishamya Kapilasya Vacho Janitri Sa Kardamasya Daita Kila Devahutihi Visrasta Moha Patalatam Pranamya तुष्टाव तत्व विषयांकित सिद्धि भूमिम Synonyms: Maitreya Vacha. Maitreya said, Evam, thus, Nishamya, having heard Kapilasya of Lord Kapila, Vachaha, the words, Janitri, the mother, Sa, she, Kardamasya of Kardama Muni, Daita, the dear wife, Kila, namely Devahuti, Visrasta, freed from Moha Patala, the covering of illusion, Tam, unto him, Abhipranam, my Pranam, Abhi Pranamya, having offered obeisances, Tushtava, recited prayers, Tattva, basic principles, Vishaya, in the matter of Ankita, the author, Siddhi, of liberation, Bhumim, the background. Translations: Sri Maitreya said, thus Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila and wife of Kardamuni, became freed from all ignorance concerning devotional service and transcendental knowledge. She offered her obeisances unto the Lord, the author of the basic principles of the Sankhya system of philosophy. Which is the background of liberation, and she satisfied him with the following verses of prayer. Purport: the system of philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila before his mother is the background for situation on the spiritual platform. The specific significance of this system of philosophy is stated herein as Siddhi Bhumim. It is the background of salvation. People who are suffering in this material world because they are conditioned by the material energy can easily get freedom from the clutches of matter by understanding the Sankhya philosophy enunciated by Lord Kapila. By this system of philosophy, one can immediately become free even though one is situated in this material world. That stage is called Jivan Mukti. This means that one is liberated even though one stays with his material body. That happened for Devahuti, the mother of Lord Kapila, and she therefore satisfied the Lord by offering her prayers. Anyone who understands the basic principle of Sankhya philosophy is elevated in devotional service and becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated even within this material world. Text 2. Devahuti Hruvacha अथ अथाप्यजोऽन्तः सलिले शयानं भूतेन्द्रियार्थ आत्ममयं वपुस्ते गुणप्रवाहं सद् अशेष बीजं दध्य दध्यौ स्वयं यज् जठारब्ज जातः. Synonyms: Devahutri Vacha. Devahuti said, Athapi, moreover, Ajaha, Lord Brahma, Antah Salile, in the water, Shayanam, lying, Bhuta, the material elements, Indriya, the senses, Artha, the sense objects, Atma, the mind, Mayam, pervaded by, Vapuhu, body, Te, your, Guna, Pravaham, the source of the stream of the three modes of material nature, Sat, manifest, Ashesha, of all, Bijam, the seed, the meditated upon, Swayam, himself, Yat, of whom, Jatara, from the abdomen, Abja, from the lotus flower, Jataha, born. Translation: Devahuti said, Brahma is said to be unborn because he takes birth from the lotus flower which grows from your abdomen while you lie in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. But even Brahma simply meditated upon you, whose body is the source of unlimited universes. Purport: Brahma's name is Aja, he who is unborn. Whenever we think of someone's birth, there must be material father and mother, for thus one is born. But Brahma, being the first living creature, within this universe was born directly from the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as Garbhodakasai Vishnu. The Vishnu form lying down in the ocean at the bottom of the universe. Devahuti wanted to impress upon the Lord that when Brahma wants to see him, he has to meditate upon him. You are the seed of all creation, she said. Although Brahma was directly born from you, he still has to perform many years of meditation, and even then, he cannot see you directly face to face. Your body is lying within the vast water at the bottom of the universe, and thus you are known as Garbhodakasai Vishnu. The nature of the Lord's gigantic body is also explained in this verse. That body is transcendental, untouched by matter. Since the material manifestation has come from his body therefore existed before the material creation. The conclusion is that the transcendental body of Vishnu is not made of material elements. The body of Vishnu is the source of all other living entities as well as the material nature, which is also supposed to be the energy of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotee said, you are the background of the material manifestation and all created energy. Therefore, you are delivering me from the clutches of Maya by explaining the system of Sankhya philosophy is not so astonishing. But your being born from my abdomen is certainly wonderful because although you are the source of all creation, you have so kindly taken birth as my child. That is most wonderful. Your body is the source of all the universe, and still you put your body within the abdomen of a common woman like me. To me, that is most astonishing. Text. Is it three or four? Three. स एव विश्वस्य भवान् विद्धते गुणप्रवाहेण विभक्त वीर्यः सर्गाद्यनिहो सर्गाद्यहीनः अविथथाभिसन्धिभिर् आत्मेश्वरो आत्मेश्वरः अत्र अतर्क्य सहस्र shakti synonyms saha, that very person eva certainly vishwasya of the universe, bhavan you, viddhate carry on, guna pravahena by the interaction of the modes, vivakta divided, viryaha your energies, sarga adi the creation and so on, aniha the non-doer, avitatha no, not futile. Abhishandihi. Abhishandihi. Your determination. Atma Ishvaraha. The Lord of all living entities. Atarkya. Inconceivable. Sahasra. Thousands. Shaktihi. Possessing energies. Translation. My dear Lord, although personally you have nothing to do, you have distributed your energies in the interactions of the material modes of nature, and for that reason, the creation maintains maintenance and dissolution of for that reason, the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation takes place. My dear Lord, you are self-determined and are the Supreme Personality of Godhead for all living entities. For them, you created this material manifestation. And although you are one, your diverse energies can act multifariously. This is inconceivable to us. Purport. The statement made in this verse by Devahuti that the absolute truth has many diverse energies, although he personally has nothing to do, is confirmed in the Upanishads. There is no one greater than him or on an equal level with him, and everything is completely done by his energy as if by nature. It is understood herein, therefore, that the modes of material nature are entrusted to different manifestations like Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Each one of them is particularly invested with different kinds of power, but the Supreme Lord is completely aloof from such activities. Devahuti is saying, although you personally are not doing anything, your determination is absolute. There is no question of your fulfilling your will with the help of anyone else besides yourself. You are, in the end, the supreme soul and the supreme controller. Your will, therefore, cannot be checked by anyone else. The Supreme Lord can check others' plans. As it is said, man proposes and God disposes. But when the Supreme Personality of Godhead proposes, that desire is under no one else's control. He is absolute. We are ultimately dependent on Him to fulfill our desires, but we cannot say that God's desires are also dependent. That is His inconceivable power. That which may be inconceivable by ordinary living entities is easily done by Him, and in spite of His being unlimited, He has subjected Himself to being known from the authoritative scriptures like the Vedic literatures. As it is said, Shabda Moolatvat. He can be known through the Shabda Brahman or Vedic literature. Why is the creation made? Since the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead for all living entities, He created this material manifestation for those living entities who want to enjoy or lord it over material nature. As the Supreme Godhead, He arranges to fulfill their various desires. It is confirmed also in the Vedas, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. The Supreme One supplies the necessities of the many living entities. There is no limit to the demands of the different kinds of living entities, and the Supreme One, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, alone maintains them and supplies them by His inconceivable energy. Text 4. Satvam Brito me Jatharena Natha Katham nu यस्योदर एतद् आसीत् विश्वं युगान्ते वटपत्र एकः शेते स्म माया शिशुर् अङ्घ्रिपानः synonyms सः he त्वं सः that very person त्वं you पृतः took birth may Jatharena by my abdomen Natha, O my Lord, Katham, how, Nu, then, Yasya, of whom, Udare, in the belly, Eta, this, Ashit, did rest, Vishwam, universe, Yuga, Ante, at the end of the millennium, Vatapatre, on the leaf of a banyan tree, Ekaha, alone, Shetesma, you laid down, Maya, possessing inconceivable powers, Shishuhu, a baby, Angri, your toe, Panaha, licking. Translation: As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have taken birth from my abdomen. Oh, my Lord, how is that possible for the Supreme One who has in his belly all the cosmic manifestation? The answer is that it is possible for at the end of the millennium you lie down on a leaf of a banyan tree and just like a small baby you lick the toe of your lotus foot. Purport: At the time of dissolution, the Lord sometimes appears as a small baby lying on a leaf of a banyan tree, floating on the devastating water. Therefore, Devavati suggests your lying down within the abdomen of a common woman like me is not so astonishing. You can lie down on the leaf of a banyan tree and float on the water of devastation as a small boy. It is not very wonderful. Therefore, that you can lie down in the abdomen of my body. You teach us that those who are very fond of children within this material world and who therefore enter into marriage to enjoy family life with children can also have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their children, as their child. And the most wonderful thing is that the Lord Himself licks his toe. Since all the great sages and devotees apply all energy and all activities in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord, there must be some transcendental pleasure in the toes of his lotus feet. The Lord licks his toe to taste the nectar for which the devotees always aspire. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself wonders how much transcendental pleasure is within himself, and in order to taste his own potency, he sometimes takes the position of tasting himself. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, but he appears as a devotee to taste the sweetness of the transcendental mellow in himself, which is tasted by Srimati Radharani, the greatest devotee, the greatest of all devotees. Text 5. Tvam deha tantriya prashamaya papmanam nidesha bhajam च विभो विधूतये यथावतारस्तव शोकरादयस् तथायम् अप्यात्म पथोपलब्धये synonym satvam. You deha, this body, tantriya, have assumed prashamaya, for the diminution, papa manam, of sinful activities, desha bhajam, of instructions in devotion, cha and vibho, O my Lord, vibhutaye, for the expansion, yatha, as avatarah, incarnations, tava, your sokara adayah, the boar and other forms, tatha, so I am this incarnation of Kapila, Api, surely Atma Patha, the path of self realization, Upalabdhaye, in order to reveal. Translation. My dear Lord, you have assumed this body in order to diminish the sinful activities of the fallen and to enrich their knowledge in devotional and liberation. Since these sinful people are dependent on your direction by your own will, you assume incarnations as a boar and as other forms. Similarly, you have appeared in order to distribute transcendental knowledge to your dependents. Purport. In the previous verses, the general transcendental qualifications of the Supreme Personality of Godhead were described. Now, the specific purpose of the Lord's appearance is also described by his, his different energies. He bestows different kinds of bodies upon the living entities who are conditioned by their propensity to lord it over material nature. But in course of time, these living entities become so degraded that they need enlightenment. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that whenever there are discrepancies in the discharge of the real purpose of this material existence, the Lord appears as an incarnation. The Lord's form as Kapila directs the fallen souls and enriches them with knowledge and devotion so that they may go back to Godhead. There are many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, like those of the boar, the fish, the tortoise, and the half man, half lion. Lord Kapil Deva is also one of the incarnations of Godhead. It is accepted herein that Lord Kapil Deva appeared on the surface of the earth to give transcendental knowledge to the misguided, conditioned souls. Text 6. N Namadheya Shravananukirtanad Yat Prahavanad Yat Smaranad Api Kvachit Swadopi Sadyah Savanaya Kalpate Kutah Punaste Bhagavannu Darshanat, synonyms, yet of whom, the personality of Godhead, Nama Dheya, the name, Shravana, hearing, Anukirtanat, by chanting, Yat, to whom, Praha, Prahvanat, by offering obeisances, Yat, whom, Smaranat, by remembering, Api, Eva, Kvachit, at any time, Swa Adaha, a dog eater, Api, even, Sadhyaha, immediately, Savanaya, for performing Vedic sacrifices, Kalpyate, becomes eligible, Kutaha, what to speak of, Punaha, again, Te, you, Bhagavan, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nu, then, Darshanat, by seeing eye to eye. Translation: to say nothing of the spiritual advancement of persons who see the Supreme Person eye to eye, even a person born in the family of dog eaters immediately becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices if he at once utters the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or chants about him, hears about his pastimes, offers him obeisances, or even remembers him. Purport. Herein herein the spiritual potency of chanting, hearing, and remembering the holy name of the Supreme Lord is greatly stressed. Rupa Goswami has discussed the sequence of sinful activities of the conditioned soul, and he has established in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that those who engage in devotional service become freed from the reactions of all sinful activities. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord says that he takes charge of one who surrenders unto him, and he makes him immune to all reactions to sinful activities. If by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead one becomes so swiftly cleared of all reactions to sinful activities, sinful activities, then what is to be said of those who see him face to face? Another consideration here is that persons who are purified by the process of chanting and hearing become immediately eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. Generally, only a person who is born in a family of Brahmanas who has been reformed by the 10 kinds of purificatory processes and who is learned in Vedic literature is allowed to perform the Vedic sacrifices. But here the word Sadhyaha immediately is used, and Sridhara Swami also remarks that one can immediately become eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. A person born in a family of the low caste, which is accustomed to eating dogs, is so positioned due to his past sinful activities, but by chanting or hearing once in pureness or in an offenseless manner, he is immediately relieved of the sinful reaction. Not only is he relieved of the sinful reaction, but immediately he achieves the result of all purificatory processes. Taking birth in the family of a Brahmana is certainly due to pious activities in one's past life, but still, a child who is born in a family of a Brahmana depends for his further reformation upon initiation into acceptance of a sacred thread and many other reformatory processes. But a person who chants the holy name of the Lord, even if born in a family of chandalas, dog eaters, does not need reformation. Simply by chanting Hare Krishna, he immediately becomes purified and becomes as good as the most learned Brahmana. Sridhar Swami especially remarks in this connection, Anena Pujyatvam Lakshyate. Some caste Brahmanas remark that by chanting Hare Krishna, purification begins. Of course, that depends on the individual process of chanting, but this mark of Sridhar Swami is completely applicable. If one chants the holy name of the Lord without offense, for he immediately becomes more than a Brahmana. As Sridhar Swami says, Pujyatvam, he immediately becomes as respectful as the most learned Brahmana and can be allowed to perform Vedic sacrifices. If by simply chanting the holy name of the Lord, one becomes sanctified instantly, then what can be said of those persons who see the Supreme Lord face to face and who understand the descent of the Lord as Devahuti understands Kapil Dev? Usually, initiation depends on the bona fide spiritual master who directs the disciple. If he sees that a disciple has become competent and purified by the process of chanting, then he offers the sacred thread to disciple just so that he will be recognized as 100% equal with a Brahmana. This is also confirmed in the Hari Bhakti Virasa by Sri Sanatana Goswami as a base metal like bell metal can be changed into gold by a chemical process. Similarly, any person can be changed into Brahmana by Diksha Vidhana, the initiation process. It is sometimes remarked that by the chanting process, one becomes to purify himself and can take birth in the next life in a Brahmana family and then be reformed. But at this present moment, even those who are born in the best Brahmana families are not reformed, nor is there any certainty that they are actually born of Brahmana fathers. Formerly, the Garbhadhana reformatory system was prevalent, but at the present moment, there is no such Garbhadhana or seed giving ceremony. Under these circumstances, no one knows if a man is actually born of a Brahmana father. Whether one has acquired the qualification of a Brahmana depends on the judgment of the bona fide spiritual master. He bestows upon the disciple the position of a Brahmana by his own judgment. When one is accepted as a Brahmana in the sacred thread ceremony under the Pancharatrika system, then he is Dvija, twice born. That is confirmed by Sanatana Goswami, Dvijatvam Jayate. By the process of initiation by the spiritual master, a person is accepted as a Brahmana in his purified taste of chanting the holy name of the Lord. He then makes further progress to become a qualified Vaishnava, which means that the Brahminical qualification is already acquired.
Okay, Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
I think now we can go to 6 Astagam prayers. Oh, next one is this really much quoted verse. चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् अनन्ताम्बुतिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
Makari Bahuja. Fluent in condition. Okay. नाम्ना मकारे बहुधान ज सर्वशक्ति सत्रार्पिता नियमिता स्मरणीयता तादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशं हैजनेनानुग्रहात्
त्रिनादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीः सदा हरिः न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि हैनन्दतनुजकिङ्करं वैतं वां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तया वर्ड प्रभु विवेक प्रभु
नयनं गलदा सुधारया वदनं गद्गदहृदया गिरा पुलकैर्निचिन्तं वपु कदा तव नामग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्राविशायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरयण मे आश्लिष्यवापादरतं विनश्रमामदर्शनार्मर्महतं करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातुलं पटो मत्पान तस्य सेवनापरः Glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtana. Glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fear of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction more. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the portion of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings and those who have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have listed all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names. But I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree devoid of all sense of false prestige and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have noticed a complete with Lord, you desire between them and Lord, I want any number of followers, I want your constant devotional service, birth and rebirth. O son of Maharajananda, Krishna, I am literal servitor, some or other for a soul from birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hair of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation. Come down, bro. Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly in his embrace and makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. श्री शिक्षाष्टकम की जय
Jai,
चैतन्य महाप्रभु
Jai,
की जय
Jai,
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 श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
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 बहु जन्म करे यदि श्रवण कीर्तन तबु तना पाए कृष्ण पदे प्रेमाधना if one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many births, he will not even get the Lord of Godhead, that get the love of Godhead, that is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the chanting of the holy name of are as follows. First one is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third offense is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master and considering him as an ordinary person. Fourth offense is to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth offense is to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Sixth offense is to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Eighth offense is to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. Ninth offense is to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Tenth offense is not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Manchakalpatarubhyaścha
kripa sindhubhya eva cha
कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च
patitanam
पतितानां
pavanebhyo
पावनेभ्यो
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Oh, Namo Namaha.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
And
Hare
Gurudev
Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Jai,
for
Jai Prabhupada ki
Shri
Jai,
Pranam.
Bhakta
Jai
Vinay,
Jai.
Hari Bol.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your association. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you, Praveen Prabhu, for reading.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
It's really nice. See you again tomorrow. I think we're gonna finish it in 2 sessions. Then we start Canto 4.
How many verses are there in the last chapter of the third canto? Let me see. Mhm.
$37.
37, yeah.
Okay, 15 and 15. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your association. Jai Shri Prabhupada.